You are watching the New American Media.
You are listening to the Agree to Disagree program on the newamericanmedia.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Brian Engelman on the newamericanmedia.com. Thanks for sticking around and listening to the Agree to Disagree program. It was a pretty rough The Unhappy Hour program talking about Cleveland sports and watching LeBron win his title elsewhere, but thanks for sticking around for this one. We are now talking about Eric Holder, Oklahoma City brainwashing, leaked documents, purging voter rolls, voting fraud, all of these beautiful things with John B. Wells. John is the Saturday night host of Coast to Coast AM, one of the new favorite hosts and one of the voices beaming the beacon of wisdom out to the masses, anyone who is willing to listen. John, thanks for joining us again today, and I just want to pick it up there on Eric Holder. This was kind of the main point of what we wanted to talk about. There's so much going on, from Fukushima to Bilderberg to everything else in this world, but definitely we want to talk about Eric Holder, because the question is, how deep does this go? Why did the president invoke executive privilege? And what are we looking at here? Could this be a Watergate?
Well, it could be, but of course, you know how it is. It's like in some ways, I see very little difference between the so-called left and the so-called right, except the left is more strident, and the stuff they're interested in is not stuff that I'm interested in particularly. But, you know, both sides have their persuasions and their enthusiasms. Now, where Eric Holder is concerned, and this is old news, this is 6 months old, but
Right.
Documents obtained by Salt Lake City Attorney Jesse Trentadue in a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit show that then Clinton Deputy Attorney General Eric Holder authorized members of the FBI to provide explosives to Oklahoma City bombing criminals Timothy McVeigh, who I see CIA all over, including the very convenient videos of him hanging out at the Waco siege, and Terry Nichols, immediately prior to the April 95 bombing of the Murrah building. Holder had authorized the FBI to provide the explosive to McVeigh and Nichols in conjunction with a Clinton administration undercover operation named PATCON, an acronym for Patriot Conspiracy. Blah, blah, blah.
Jeez.
Now he's doing it again with this Fast and Furious. We're going to sell guns under the supervision and guidance, in some cases, of the BATFE, and we're going to track them to the drug cartels. I mean, I challenge anybody to tell me how you're going to do that to start with and what purpose it would serve if you managed to do that. The actual fact of the matter is that he was using it as an excuse to put in more requirements and regulations for gun ownership in this country. As a matter of fact, Hillary Clinton is still trying to put this United Nations sponsored global arms treaty in place, which 45 senators have signed a letter saying we're not going to put up with that. So they're moving just a little bit too fast. But Eric Holder should be held in contempt of Congress. The president, I do not understand, if he didn't know about it, why he would execute executive privilege in withholding the documents. I think it's potentially a Watergate, to use that unfortunate and never dying phrase, but it's appropriate, I suppose. It's a huge faux pas.
Yeah.
The question is, will the people respond to it? I mean, going back to what you wanted to find out about Alex Jones and Bilderberger, because it ties into this, it's like, I'll tell you what he found out. He found out who some of the attendees were, if not all of them, and found out that they talked about a bunch of things that we're never going to find out about. So Alex was really up there just to annoy them and to let them know we are watching you and we are trying to find out what you are doing. And we are a visible presence that wants to demonstrate to you we don't like what you're doing to the world. Will it have any effect on them? Probably not, but at least they'll know someone's watching. So there's a hope that somebody will come along that's got an angle they can exploit and maybe bring about some change. But people who control things don't give up that control easily. And when you consider that only 40% of the population of this country votes, while they sit there, you know, a lot of them, and look, I went up overweight also. As a matter of fact, I went to 205 pounds, and I went overseas to Europe, and people say, well, did you walk a lot? It's like, no, I ate twice as much as I did over here, and lost 8 pounds the first week I was there. And sometime we'll go into all of the things that are being fed to people that impede everything from brain function to longevity. It's It is a massive avalanche, not just of one ridge of snow that drops off, but several all at the same time. Which is why perhaps in the Bible, when those seals, when it describes those seals coming open, I believe it was Voltaire on his deathbed said, when there was a priest there saying, would he like to renounce Satan now, but in his final moments of his life before he passes beyond the veil? And Voltaire said, this is no time to be making enemies. Well, the converse of that is, I don't think this is a good time to decide that what was written in ancient scripture is just a fairy tale or a comic book, because there is a coincidence of events which are taking place now. He didn't say anything about it's just going to happen instantly. It just said that it says the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night. Right. That just means it's going to hit you when you don't expect it. Well, everybody knows trouble always comes from where you least expect it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The last time I checked, the Japanese were into dragons too, and I believe the Fukushima could very easily be the mouth of the dragon that has now opened.
Well, I'll tell you what.
All this stuff going to the Russians and the Americans in the Middle East and blah, blah, blah. I mean, all you have to do is study it, and before long you'll feel like Nicolas Cage in that movie Knowing,
Good point. We recently watched that one, and we've had a guest, Dr. Jose Jaramillo. He's a Mayan scholar. We met him at the Conscious Life Expo, where George and the rest of the guys, Tom Danheiser, all the guys come out to out here in Los Angeles, and Dr. Jose Jaramillo. I mean, I've climbed the pyramid, the Temple of El Castillo. We've been to Chichen Itza, and we've studied the Mayans, and I don't know exactly what we're supposed to make of December 21st, 2012, but it sure as hell seems like with technology, I think that's the wild card that there never has been before, at least that we can track down in a hands-on way. We hear stories about advanced technology with Atlantis and whatnot, but the technology being able to enact an Orwellian police state, a control grid, that hasn't really existed as far as I can read back in the textbooks, and it just seems like there are quite a few people out there, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, mining your data, or whether it's governmental, or whether there's any difference at all. It does seem like things are starting to coalesce right now, and in our remaining time here, John, what is your recommendation to the audience, to the listeners? What is a person to do if we start connecting dots and we don't like what we see?
You know what? That's a very, very serious question, and it deserves a serious answer, and I'm not sure I can give you one that's serious enough. For me personally, it's understand that the originator of this life, this reality, this universe that we can't seem to find another planet just exactly like ours anywhere around. Well, they found water over here. Well, that's not an Earth, though. Well, no. The rest of it's poisonous. Yeah, shut up. When you find one that looks like Earth, tell me about it then. I don't want to hear that you found an ash blob that is shaped like Earth. I want to know about another Earth-like planet. There's not one. The chances of this planet being formed the way that it formed are astronomically small. So it's clearly, to me, in my world, it is deliberate. So rule number one, if you have faith, you will fear nothing. Number two, be aware. Do not rely on anything but yourself. Or as they say on the airplane flights, put your own oxygen mask on first and then assist the child. Because what follows is, because if you don't, we're liable to lose both of you. If you feel like you want to contribute to the environment, well, I guess the long and the short is do something with your life. If you see something, if someone's trying to arrest you wrongfully, sing out and say they're arresting me for no reason. The secret policeman's arresting me for no reason. If you see a crime, not a neurotic suspicion, but an actual crime, if you're overmatched to intervene yourself, then bring help to the situation. But in the meantime, be able to stand on your own. Keep your family business. Keep your little core of friends. Treat them as though they are precious, because they are. And if something happens, and things do, natural or man-made, which is which, really, especially in this day and age.
Right.
Be prepared to just help each other. Look, all we can do is everything we can, as well as we can, for as long as we can. That's all. If you don't have a code to live by, get one. If you don't have any faith, get some. Because when you do, you won't fear these things. Without the fear factor, none of these grandiose globalization schemes can work. We have to be afraid either not to go with them, and what will happen to us if we don't play along, or we have to be afraid of what they'll do to us if we don't go along with it. So, take the fear out of it, and you're much more easily able to make a rational decision as to how to, what? Get to the root of the basis of all philosophy. Live a good life. That's all you get.
And if you got to think about how the history books are going to portray you to the rest of your family and the rest of the generations to come and future generations, who do you want to be known as? The one that stayed quiet and cowered under the cave, under the rock in the corner in the woods? Or do you want to stand up, be counted, and do something good? So, John, thank you very much for your time again. I mean, you're always welcome on the program. We love what you're doing on Coast to Coast AM on Saturday nights, and we appreciated what you were doing on the Alex Jones program as well. So where else can people find you? Give them a quick plug on your way out the door, good sir.
Oh, you can find me at johnbwells.com if you need a good voiceover man for something, and if you need some self-protection and life enhancement and sustaining whatever, go to caravantomidnight.com and make use of those things that are there. You'll enjoy them. I use them myself, or I wouldn't sell them to you.
Very good. Well, John, until next time, and we will speak again offline, thank you again for your time, and we will be speaking again soon. Thanks again.
My pleasure, Brian. Thank you.
That was John B. Wells of Coast to Coast AM. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to get an update on the GMOs, the GMO labeling in California. Have you heard about that? Well, you will soon. We'll be right back.
You are listening to the Agree to Disagree program on the newamericanmedia.com.
All right, if you haven't done this already, we need you to do this. Go on to youtube.com/The New American Media and subscribe to our page. That way you get an update every time we post a new radio show, every time we get another interview. Every time we're doing something interesting, you're reminded that, hey, I like those people at the New American Media. So go on youtube.com/The New American Media and hit subscribe. We will greatly appreciate that.